Scions number 293. It is December of 2025. And we are not dead in football yet, even though we feel like we are. Jack Purdy here, Jake Grant here, and Maggie Doster here this week. Maggie's has helped us with women's basketball in the past with me, and we were both at the quote unquote football game that happened on Friday in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where Georgia Tech lost 16-9 to that other school. Jake, I assume you're glad at this point you didn't have to worry about this as emotionally. Like you didn't have to carry. Like I know you care about the game. Like we care about the game intrinsically, just because we existed. This is what we do. But how did you intake before we get to me and Maggie's in stadium thoughts from someone who wasn't there and took this in a different mode? How did you intake this game?
Yeah, I'll speak for my out of state grads, out of state friends, etc. Even though I live here now, my wife and I both have family up north, scattered across the Midwest and Northeast. So getting back for the Saturday game is hard enough. It was a little bit easier when you're a student and can be like, "Yeah, Mom, I'll be home in 2 weeks after finals. See ya." But having family ties and things like that does make it tough. But fortunately, I was at a place with a gigantic television screen and good connection. So I don't know. Not to take a left turn into thank goodness the Mercedes-Benz contract is over, but I like my seat at Bobby Dodd. That's how I'll say it. And I like going to Atlanta United games, right? And those can be
Yeah.
two and separate things that live in their own happy spaces. So no regrets for watching on the couch. I will say I don't know what it is about Stromboli being a tailgate food in the Northeast, but not
I you
really
know
complaining either.
I
Not
heard
really
about
complaining.
I heard about this too. I in some other chats of mine where people in that area were like, "Oh yeah, we do Stromboli the day after, or we do Stromboli on December 1st." I'm like, "There's traditions around Stromboli. This is not a thing that I knew, but this is a
It's
real
meat,
thing
cheese, and
apparently."
bread. It's meat,
That's
cheese, and bread. You
that's what
can't go
I
wrong.
that's all I
Yeah.
eat anyways. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess I gotta have a day for each kind of packaging of those three ingredients. Maggie,
Yes.
welcome back to Atlanta for those 2 days you were here. No, you haven't been here in a bit. But but then B, how was it going to possibly the last Georgia Tech game in that stadium that we ever want to have in that stadium?
It felt good. It was a bad way to like end what I feel like has been a bad thing. And like
Yeah.
maybe that's not like a super intelligent thing to say since I know we've like gotten so much money out of it, but I don't know. I feel like the Jeff Collins era, we're finally like washed of it. And
Yeah.
it's like the last residual piece.
The funny point about that too, and I know this is distracting from the game at hand, but maybe we all need that. Funny thing about that is I think it was the first game of that series, the UNC game. That was like the Jeff finally
That
figured
was the
it
peak.
out.
That was the
Here we
peak.
go.
That was the
Yeah.
peak of Jess Simms's career until about a month ago when he figured out Arizona State.
Consider Arizona State. Anyways, yeah, no, I agree with you there. I mean, it how did it feel as pro UGA in the stadium as it did on TV? Because it looked very red on television and it sounded very loud.
Yeah,
I don't know how much if much of that was just mics and happenstance, but I don't know.
It
Looked a
was.
little tough.
I would say it was about 65-35.
Mm.
Yeah.
The
That's good.
at least the TV was face at least its cameras were facing our side of the stadium, which was
Ah,
nice. But they put our students in the top part of the stadium, not close to
mm.
the field whatsoever. The band was in their usual spot, but it was not. There was not a lot of gold. There was not a
You
lot of
know,
gold.
come to think of it, that's where they had the students for the Tennessee game.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
that
like
is.
way in the 300s,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So it wasn't the exact same spot because that spot. Because I remember where I sat for that Tennessee game, and that spot is now a new like bar, like hang up thing they've
Mhm.
built up there in the third deck, and where the top seats used to be. So there were people.
Innovation.
So there were people up there. Um, Let me get into what happened in this game before we get too far into our thoughts here. Georgia Tech
Yeah.
lost 16-9. They are now ninth. They will finish the regular season at 9-3, 6-2 in the ACC. And after all the other possibilities of us making the ACC championship game did not work out, we are not going to the ACC championship game. We will talk about this crazy Duke situation after we finish this game because I'm sure we all have thoughts about just how many things are wrong with that. Anyway, so this was a very fast game. Neither team had 10 full drives. Like it is a very Georgia Techy, like a milk a ton of clock, but Georgia also wanted to milk a ton of clock by hunch and other people's hunches has been because Gunner was not throwing the ball that well, and they could run it down our throats with Nate Frazier, and that's what they did, and they just bled all the clock and minimized their chances to score. So
Somehow, Jack, somehow, and you guys were off in the stadium. The Bears Eagles game managed to be like way faster. And I don't know if that's just because
really,
it didn't start a little bit. It started, bang on time at 3 o'clock. And
oh
as
well,
a
that they had a 45-minute head start then.
well, it had a 45-minute head start, but the game was fully over, or at least into like the last drive garbage time,
Mhm.
with I think 9 minutes left in the third of the
Interesting.
Georgia Tech game, which, yeah, there was like an hour and a half between the end of each of those games. So it's
Interesting.
interesting that it was, because I agree, it felt like it was a short game, minimal number of
Yeah.
possessions, but I don't know if that maybe is a commentary on what ABC and ESPN's college football productions are. Did that translate to the stands too? Because I don't know. Just having the two side by side, an NFL up against an NCAA, it was pretty notable to me. Maybe it's because it was Amazon though for
I,
the Black Friday game.
Amazon's interesting. Maggie, did it feel slow at all with TV timeouts and things like that?
No, I mean, I feel like I can't speak to how it actually felt because I was so anxious the entire time.
Yeah,
Every
that's
second that
fair.
passed seemed to pass at like light speed. Everything like it was just like watching the like life drain out of something. I'm being dramatic, but it was very hard.
That's we've all felt that. You're not alone at all. So not even
Podcasts are therapy, like
Yeah.
that's what they're for.
that's not everyone. Yeah. So for a lot of us, that's how we experience this. We punt on our first drive, but then believe it or not, we had an interception this game. Tajay Butler picked off Gunnar Stockton on Georgia's first drive, which was a shocker, and was like, "Oh, we might actually have something here." There's a defensive moment. We turned it into a field goal. So for the fourth time in a row, we had the first score in this game, and we have not won any of them. Granted, the first one 4 years ago was like, "Oh my goodness, we actually scored points against Georgia," and this one was a like, "Okay, whatever." Georgia tied on their S drive where they were really just using the run game. They could just use Nate Frazier all over. They were just not throwing, and it was just fine. Their next drive, they got us on third and longs again, as we always allow third and longs, and they got a touchdown to Zachariah Branch to make it 10-3. That was the only touchdown of the entire game. We didn't score again this the second half, but in the first half, but late in the second quarter, Georgia had the ball. They had plenty of time. They had it on the front end of the 2 minute warning. They had their timeouts, and then after the 2 minute warning, they run a couple plays, get the clock to about a minute. They're on our side of the field, and Kirby just lets it go from a minute to 20 seconds. Like uses the entire play clock, doesn't use his timeouts, completely eliminates any shot at getting a double possession because we lost the coin toss for the 11th time this year at the start of the game, so we didn't have the ball to start the second half, and they just settled for a field goal. They could have had a 17-3 lead if they wanted at the end of the first half, and they didn't do it. It's only 13-3, and we got a 3-and-out to start the second half. So somehow we turned what was we all thought was going to be a 24-3 deficit in about a 30-minute span, turned into just a 13-3 deficit, which was kind of crazy. But it kept us in this game ultimately.
It's interesting that I happen the last couple of years to be watching this game with people who frequently are not common watchers of Georgia Tech football, be they friends, relatives, or otherwise. Um, Sometimes that's, your grandma in your ear being like, "Wow, they're doing amazing," and me being like, "The clock's not over yet," their clock's not at zero yet. That was last year. But this year, that was probably the move that had the most comments from just the non-affiliated bunch other than like, oh
Right.
yeah, Jake and Josie go there, like they
Right.
that we want Georgia Tech to win, but they were like, what is the Georgia coach doing? How did he burn
Yeah.
all that clock? Because they could have
They had
seriously
so many options. They
taken.
had so
Yeah,
many options, and they chose that one. I don't
it
get unless they just wanted to get out of the half, or I don't know what it was, but
it made
yeah.
me feel they didn't trust Gunner to be throwing it. Maybe with
I
earned
mean, that's part of
reason,
it.
with
That's
the
part of it.
interception, but
Yeah, I think that's
I
part of
don't
it.
know.
We weren't
It
moving the
was
ball exceptionally well either. Like they knew they had the defense to bottle us up pretty well. So if you're Kirby and you're like, okay, we just needed this to be a two-score game in any way, shape, or form. that's enough for us. And if a field goal does that, and a field goal does that, in which case, like, okay, I get that math. At the same time, I play for touchdowns.
But
So
but devil's advocate, he wound up being right.
he
I
was
mean,
very right. He
13
was
to
very right.
3 was plenty. He could have just sat on the ball and
He could have.
10 to
I mean,
9,
they kind of
but
almost did. So second half, we forced three out to start the third quarter, which massive shocker. And we were moving the ball a little bit here. King tries to get a deep shot into Dean Patterson, but they gets picked off at the 4 yard line. Which thankfully because they had bad field position, Georgia didn't score their next drive, but that was kind of the moment we had to strike, and it didn't work. We get a field goal in our next drive to make it 13-6, middle of the third quarter. That's the only scoring of that quarter. Georgia hits a 50-yarder to start the fourth quarter, so it's 16-6. They don't score again the rest of the game. Granted, there's barely any drives. Our next drive, we are again moving the ball at least enough. We're going to give ourselves a shot here. At least we need to stop them twice and score twice. We're kind of doing it. Keelan Rutledge gets hit with a very interesting unsportsmanlike conduct late hit penalty. I saw they showed the replay in the stadium of him shoving a dude over after the play. It didn't seem menacing, at least from what I could tell. It didn't seem like a aggressive. It just seemed like the plays, you couldn't tell if the play was over kind of situation. Maggie, what did you see there? Because that's what I picked. I didn't think it was all that like crazy. They threw a flag there, but then I found out I was alone in that opinion and did not read that situation correctly, probably.
I mean, yeah, I saw the same thing, and like the replay was hardly of that happening. And I'm obviously biased, and I'm surrounded by like the meanest group of 50-year-old white men you've ever met who just hate Georgia and have since they were 20. So like I was just real fired up about how bad of a call it was. I don't really like trust myself to make that kind of analysis, like I don't think that I like know more than the referees, but it did like substantially change the like energy in our offense, and that was a problem.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't have the heart to go seek out the replay, and I'm not sure they ever showed it on television. I have no priors or anything on this, but I think it dovetails nicely into a general comment I have, which is going to come off as being really conspiratorial. But again, this is a podcast by a bunch of Georgia Tech fans, so I'm just going to put it out there. Um, I don't get how Georgia Tech can play relatively in
Hmm.
the personal fouls and just ticky tack nonsense. Like I get a false start. We saw plenty of those, even in our own building, like against Pitt. How do you go off? How do you false start in your own
Right.
building, right? Like that I don't really besmirch, but like, man, I don't know if it's because it's rivalry week. They're ACC refs. Like it shouldn't be that they're getting different guidance and or instruction, but I don't know. It was just one of those things where maybe the guys are amped and they're just trying to get to Gunner. That is totally realistic. I could see that happening. But man, just a couple of plays where the flag stays in the pocket and the game feels different. That of course definitely one of them. But
Yeah. Penalties. Georgia got three penalties on or three first downs on penalties in this game, and some of those were backbreakers. And that there's the inverse of where we just threw ourselves backwards on these kinds of things, and that just so bad. Anyway, so we don't score on that drive. Georgia, as I mentioned, doesn't score again. We get a field goal on our next drive to make it 16-9. We have our timeouts in this case. We're on the front end of the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter. We have our timeouts. We have two timeouts because Brent did challenge a spot earlier in the second half that he was very wrong about, and so we do not stop Georgia on the first set of downs where we could have forced them to punt and still have a decent amount of time to get in the end zone. We do stop them on the second round, but we only have about 15 or so seconds to score. Haynes actually makes the plays to get us in field goal and to get himself in Hail Mary range, which is really surprising. He hit Isaiah Canyon. He actually they did the work and hit Rivers, I believe.
and he got out of bounds fast too.
Yes, they
That
did
was
this. They did this properly. They did this as well as you could have wanted to set up the Hail Mary throw, and he gets it in the end zone and gets batted down. Maybe not. Blake Rutherford got tackled in the end zone. Doesn't really matter because they didn't call anything, and Hail Marys are crapshoots anyways. And that's it. 16-9. Lost by only one score. We covered again. Once again, we covered and lost in this game. We're very good at that for whatever reason. But it didn't seem like anyone was playing to exactly score a lot of points. My general thought on the stadium. atmosphere. Yes, we do. We weren't going to have most fans. That was a given. That's been the case for a long time, basically the entire time we've been alive and this game's happened. Um, the fact we lost the Pitt game probably did not help either. I imagine there are people that would have thought about going to this game that didn't. The fact it's on the Friday after Thanksgiving and not the Saturday after Thanksgiving definitely doesn't help because that you lose a lot of people that would be able to travel back home or something like that. Jake being one of them, and so that I mean I know there are people I know Maggie and other friends of ours included came back to Atlanta for the game and things like that. But that's not everybody. Um, but even from the Georgia side of things just felt bland. And like not in like a no one was excited sense or like in an excitement sense. Like I like Jake, you were there. You're there for Pitt. Like there was a just very in a good way Firo energy going on. I would say like
you need to walk one of those words back. I was not on the podcast last week. I would not put the word good in front of the feral, in front of the Pitt atmosphere, because it felt desperate and a little scary.
well we were desperate.
I believe my quote of the evening was, "It felt like we were in the Coliseum and everyone wanted blood."
That is
but
also true though.
that's an electric atmosphere.
That's the thing. That's what I mean. That's what I'm
say
getting
what
to.
you will.
Yeah.
And I say that mostly jokingly because like it's college football. People were amped and having a good time.
Yeah.
A little weird how that game played out and throw the baby out with the bathwater. But that's the broader picture of playing these games inherently off campus.
Right.
I've never been to the world's largest cocktail event in Jacksonville. I'm sure that one might be a little bit different. I'm sure the Cotton Bowl for Red River is a little bit different, just given
Right. They're
the longevity
established.
of that.
They are established.
Yeah,
People know how to do that event. Yeah. This
but
was different. And
I
that got
I will not, and this is coming from my position, and I've said this all year. I've said this for a couple of years now. I will not besmirch anyone for electing to, spend time with family or like go to a wedding or
not at all. Yep.
whatnot during college football season. And I'll say this as me, I'm a season ticket holder in like four sports, right? Like I give a lot of my time to this school and we all do it in our own ways. And like if people are like, dang, Friday afternoon, that's really hard. It's not on campus. I can't make it happen. I get it, right? But
Yeah.
maybe that's me trying to cope.
Well, I mean, but I wouldn't say it wasn't just us that was contributing to that. Like it did, like that verve that we felt at Bobby Dodd against Pitt. None of that existed in this game. That did not exist in this stadium whatsoever. It did not. Like, I've been to Falcons games there. It wasn't as bad as a normal Falcons game is. That's for sure. Those are terrible. But like even when Georgia, granted, there's always also only so many moments in this game to like cheer for because there was a lot of punts and a lot of third and longs that had nothing going for them. So the Georgia fans didn't have much to get up for anyways either. But even when they did have those moments, it didn't feel like they were like inhaling the oxygen from the stadium either. It was
And
kind of just
they're playing in that building again, like in 5 days.
Well,
right?
they didn't know
Like,
that day. They didn't know it then.
I know that, but like I don't know. Like that's what you get when you're playing these games off campus, right? But I'm interested, and I don't know if we brought it up in the audio, but in our shot sheet it says our fans did not buy enough tickets for how much this team is done.
Yeah, that's my opinion there.
If you typed it, I figured you wanted to say it, so
Yeah.
I'm giving you that platform.
Well, I was
'cause
getting
just
there.
didn't
I
know
keep getting
what to say.
interrupted after every sentence I have listed out of this shit. Anyways, though I thought now here's the thing. If this isn't Bobby Dodd, there's way more fans that are going to this game. I think that's just my hunch. Because let me tell you, these were not cheap tickets. This was not a thing you could do a family outing for. That's just that if your family of four is paying $500, if not more, just to get in the door. And thankfully, it's $2 hot dogs, so like that's the main cost for going to a game like this. But like the student section was really far away from the stadium, from the field, as we mentioned. Like none of that energy is there, and Georgia didn't have a student section there. Their allocation was smaller, but they could just buy whatever. They could just buy the seats and whatnot. And so and knowing that we sold out our own stadium on our accord, not because of our opponent, multiple times this season, I'm like, okay, we should be able to show up for this kind of thing. Like, if we're gonna do it, let's keep doing it. And there wasn't and I think the Pitt game probably sucked a lot of oxygen out of this. Like, that kind of killed what we were playing for beating Georgia wasn't going to put us in the playoff. It was going to be wholly dependent on things outside of our control. So, like, if you're buying in for the stakes, I get it. That makes perfect sense. I would probably been a similar call if I wasn't getting in the stadium for free. Um, so that it's just I hate that not enough of us. I felt like a team that was this good and gave us this much life this year. I would have liked to have seen it more gold in there. As you said, I believe with you and Jake though on your points of like it's the holiday season, man. You got to make decisions, and not they don't have to revolve around football. I am the weirdo that does revolve my holiday planning around football. So it's just that's just where I was sitting with it when it was all said and done. Great. That said, the tailgates beforehand were great. Very good energy out there. Very good energy outside the stadium at tailgates and things like that. Did well there. Maggie, you
I
haven't
feel
spoken in a
like
while. Go ahead.
no. So I have grown up like I've been a lifelong Tech fan. I only started going to this game when I attended school because I was in school, and like unfortunately that did coincide with us being the worst we've ever been.
Yes.
But I feel like a lot of Georgia Tech fans avoid this game and always have and always will.
Hmm.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
because of
Yes.
I like to think of how much the opponent, I don't know, makes you feel dirty when you interact with them. Like just being around Georgia fans has
It's
this
not as fun. It's not a fun time most of the time.
feeling. Yeah,
Yeah.
like my dad made us leave with 3 minutes, like right when we got the ball back. My dad was like, "All right, let's pack it up. I don't want to have to hear them call the dogs." So like, and we went, and like, so I feel like that has a lot to do with it. I don't know if that's why we never sell out the game. I know that there's like a lot of different like it's a mixed bag of reasons, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, this was the most wins combined ever going into a single
Oh
Georgia
yeah.
Tech game. Like night, no night. We have not
Ever?
had. Yes, we have never had a time where there was 19 combined wins coming into this game. Now, it did not feel like 19 combined wins considering what the recent history of the last couple of weeks had done. So that kind of build up completely died when we lost to Pitt. It probably would have lost to NC State too. Um, or at least it started there. It didn't end there. We had room there still for playoff potential, but it yeah, I just hate that with how much potential buildup there was going into that, how much it fell flat, and we didn't get this opportunity for ourselves. It sucks. It sucks.
I've got a yin and I've got a yang.
Right.
Yin. ACC destiny is completely independent of arch rival destiny. You always have
Yes.
two things to play for. A
Yes.
loss to one does not affect the other. That's like my yay.
Yeah.
My is that I am way more infuriated. Nah, infuriated is too strong a word. It's football, right? We're all going to live. We're all going to go to a bowl game. We're going to be fine. But
Yeah.
man, the NC State game, I'm just like, just smacking my own head. Like, guys, we were in that late. Like one more stop, and you're talking about how Tech's going to Charlotte, controlling some sort of playoff destiny, and it just kind of makes that one smart, maybe a little bit more. But again, my counterpoint is there's two things to play for, right? But it's frustrating to be what a total of like 20 points from having both of those, right? That
Yeah.
that's as successful of a Georgia Tech season has been in a long time. And again, that's a great thing, but it's like,
Yeah. And to bring it on to the on-field stuff, imagine if we had this defensive performance against NC State. Everything
mhm.
is wildly different because guess what? We're still undefeated after Raleigh. We're undefeated going into our bye week at 8-0, and that's a big difference. That's a big freaking difference. I mean, I gotta shout out. Cayman Spalding had a big sack in this game. Lightsey was good. Felix Felton came in for Clayton Powell-Lee when he got hurt, and the run game just died for Georgia. Like they only outgained us by 10 yards this entire game. 10 total yards. 10 yards and 7 points. That is I mean, if you told me they outgained us by 10 yards in this game, I'd be like, okay, that was probably a shootout, or our offense got stifled. And well, the offense got stifled was the one that won out, where they just didn't have answer for. We didn't have an answer. The offensive line did not do enough to give King the kind of time. This is the same problem we saw against Pitt, where it just life was hard for him in general. And until we started running him, things weren't really happening. Hosley only showed up every once in a while. Jamal Haynes was a little bit better, I'd say. He had some better looks and whatnot, but our guys were guarded pretty well in the secondary. There wasn't much pass. The passing lanes weren't fully there all the time. Brett Seither got a big catch on what was a busted coverage, and there weren't many of those to go around. Um, but I hate that this defensive performance also got wasted. Not necessarily wasted, like they still did it. That was a good job by them in terms of what doing everything they could to hold a top five team to under 20 points is pretty damn impressive. Like that probably won't happen in the playoffs. Georgia will probably score more than 20 in a playoff game, and we held them to 16. Like that is nothing to not that's good for them.
They put up 40 something on Ole Miss, so there's your data point.
Right, yeah. We'll be all missing in a second here. But yeah, I just hate. They did almost enough, and this has been the narrative of this game. Almost enough every time. That's how it went with Haynes. Each of those games, last year being weird as hell, and maybe having done enough. If not, the referees literally taking that game away from us on a couple of occasions. This one was out. This one I think is just more. This was more on the field. This was more our own mistakes, and more just did not have enough of the guns to win a like I guess not to win a what's my World War One synonym here? I don't know. I don't know.
Trench
Trench war.
battle.
Yeah. Trench battle. That's what I was thinking of. A slow moving doesn't not much movement battle going on here. That's what it felt like. So, anyways, any final thoughts before? I should note, bowl game. Probably going to the Gator Bowl or the Pop Tarts Bowl based on projections. The Holiday and Pinstripe are in there, but there were representatives for the Pop Tarts Bowl and the Gator Bowl at this game. The Pop Tarts Bowl sends people to almost all the games. Like I've seen every game I've covered. I've seen them they're everywhere. I have never seen a Gator Bowl representative until this week, though, and so that was new. So I don't know what that means entirely, but it just in terms of who's giving us attention, those are the places giving us attention in the general scope of these ESPN events that we could be playing at later this month.
9-3 is the best regular season record of what, the last
Long time,
11 seasons?
something like that. Yeah, pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. I will choose to have happy thoughts.
Don't want to lose that, you know?
Yes. Right now, not fun thoughts. After this is all done, happy thoughts in the postscript. Okay, Maggie, before we lose you, you've been out in Oxford this fall, which is just what a semester to live in Oxford, Mississippi.
Oh, right.
Holy
Great.
cow. This is where I don't know if you're gonna break news. We'll see. But this whole Lane Kiffin thing, this is not tech related in the slightest. We haven't played them in anything except that one game like 2 years ago or last year, whenever that was. But just from being in the most crazy town to be a football fan in this semester, what has that been like over there?
Yeah, it's crazy how fast you can go from like the hot old guy that everyone's in love with to like the most hated man in Oxford, Mississippi. Um, this is not like news by any stretch of means, but it is my favorite thing that happened to me in like the last, I don't know, 15 weeks that I've lived here. So I work out at the same yoga studio that Lane Kiffin goes to hot yoga at. And like all of the girls that work there are either like old Ole Miss students or current Ole Miss students, or like they have an affiliation with the school and they know him. And so the like announcement obviously gets made, and I go to yoga at like 5:30, and the first song that plays as we are like moving into like a plank of some sorts is Ho by Ludacris. And so like that song has just like really been emanating from pretty much, I live really close to the square, so like pretty much every bar is playing that. I mean, it'll be the anthem in Oxford, Mississippi for at least until whenever we play LSU.
That is wild.
So yeah, people are mad. I love how mad people are. I have my contracts final on Wednesday, and I'm willing to put like every cent I will ever make as an attorney in the future on the fact that the facts of this hypo will be about Lane Kiffin's LSU contract and like whether or not he's breaching by leaving.
That's amazing.
So yeah, that's
wow.
what's going here.
Wow. I know we texted back and forth some about just how well how good the season was going for one. Like this was have you felt any of like the just whiplash of the last 48 to 72 hours? I mean, I know you were here for our game too, but like it's that, I mean, I haven't had to go through that, at least personally, in terms of like Like I lost Matt Ryan to a trade one time, but like we knew we had to go. Like and Freddie Freeman we knew was gone. But like this is just like holy cow! Like this is mid-season. There is no one better to lead this team into possibly a national title. And just like yeah, no,
I feel really prepared as a Georgia Tech fan and just like as a straight woman who's dated straight men her entire life to be disappointed by like a man. So like I'm not surprised and like we know who Lane Kiffin is and it's really easy to like, watch the documentary they made about him
right,
or just like get swept up in like how good Ole Miss was this year and how successful they have been and think that you're special, you as an Ole Miss, and just like come to the crashing realization that like nobody means anything to Lane Kiffin. And like I don't know him, obviously. I have done yoga with the man one time and we didn't speak. I just turned around and said, "Oh my God, that's Lane Kiffin," in like a dark, hot room. But I've also not like participated as much in like the culture here because I am so deeply ingrained in like the football team that is in Atlanta and like
yep,
we were so good. Like I didn't care that Ole Miss was undefeated. I cared that Georgia Tech was undefeated. Like
right,
the
yeah.
fact that Ole Miss was too. And now it's nice that I still get to watch them like in the playoffs and now we have something even, hating someone is a great thing. Nothing like a hate watch,
You've got a lot of hating you get to do in the next
Yeah,
over this week and the
it'll be
next while.
fun.
I never liked LSU anyways because I was an Auburn fan growing up, so this just helps that entire thing that I want to do. So that's awesome. That's great. Thank you for that. Uh,
Fun.
what's also weird is that Duke is playing in the ACC championship game. Uh, we have the same ACC record as them. We don't have the same.
We beat them.
We beat them. We literally beat them. They were our trap game this season. They were the one that's like, if you get over the hump in this game, you've got a real clear shot. And we did have a clear shot after that game for quite a while, and that didn't pan out. Uh, I don't have any real notes here. The shot sheet just says Duke with like eight U's. Uh, but do we like this as a? I just want to just assess the room here. Do we like this for the ACC? Like what? Where are we sitting on this? Like, I mean, I guess at least it's not Florida State. I mean, I don't know. Like they weren't relevant, of course, but like, uh, like they wouldn't even make a wild card in like the weird baseball rules probably right now too. Like this is just so funky.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna pull the I went to Georgia Tech card. So I did I did 10,000 simulations of the 64 possible, game outcomes of the, 2 to the 6th power gets you 64
Right.
different possible outcomes, and each one has its own who's the winner, blah blah blah. So yeah, I did that. Said okay, run it 10,000 times, see what you get based off of Bill Connolly's SP Plus as my rankings and spreads. And Duke going into this weekend was like 5 times more likely to make Charlotte than we were
Of course.
because Georgia Tech's chances all required such impossibly long odds to get there. But I will say they were the second least likely participant in Charlotte. I'm sure you would not be shocked here. It was UVA and SMU
Right.
by a lot, and everyone else much less. But it is just deeply frustrating because my whole like shtick with the ACC this year and the past couple years has been like it's fun, it's competitive, anyone can win any game, but not in like the like it just means more kind of way. But because we don't do ourselves a lot of favors in
No.
non-con, so like I get it, right? It's not like oh the ACC deserves
We
four
play
bids.
ourselves in non-con now.
Yeah, exactly. Which that's also frustrating. UVA should have
Yes.
been right down in the mud with the rest of us, and that did
Yes.
affect who went to Charlotte. But
Hmm.
all that to say, I think the reason it's frustrating is because it's that like past the logical fun extreme to the point where it's like, they don't deserve to be there at all, and now we're
No.
looking like a joke. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. It's not ideal. I mean, the ninth game in the conference game, does this help? I don't know. I mean, it's not like divisions ever solved this because there was always the chance of the 4-4 coastal champion making Charlotte.
I
which
think we
happened,
did
right?
that
Yeah,
once.
did that happen? Yeah, yeah. So like, they weren't impervious to it. At least it's a 6-2 team making it. Like it's not like we're getting a true middle cellar dweller that would have been like in third in the Atlantic or something like that. Uh, but still, it's absolutely bonkers. I mean, is this worse than like the pod system in the baseball tournament? Probably not.
Jack,
But
this team lost three times out of conference. I think you can safely
they
call
did
them
lose to
losing
you.
to mid
Oh,
nonsense.
they did lose to
Like,
UConn. They did lose to UConn, who has more ACC wins still than Florida State does in the last 2 years. Um, that's my favorite football fact still. So, one way or another, we are destroying college football. Not destroying it, but make it. We didn't. Us not winning against Pitt has truly created some monster situations. What's crazy is that the least likely leg of us getting into the championship game did happen, which was Cal beating SMU. Like, I
where?
hate. Come on, man. Like, I mean, we needed Duke to lose as well, so like we were already out of it well before. Uh, but that's just funny how the least likely leg also just happened to happen in the midst of all this because of course something crazy had to happen that day. There was too many things, too many things. Um, all right, I can't wait for the CFP to screw this up tomorrow night on our televisions, and I will scream something into the void on Twitter that no one will care about. But here we are. Maggie, thanks for hanging out. You can hang out more if you want, and have us help us cry about basketball. But if you need to go, you can go. Uh,
Leave y'all to study for my contract exam, but it was good to see y'all.
Good to see you. Good luck in
Good
your
luck.
final.
Good to see you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right,
Bye bye.
section 103. What is happening there?
Yes, 20% off everything through 12/1, which is today. So I know that's not super helpful, but maybe this will be out before the end of the night. And I realize I just put Jack under a time crunch.
That's my
So
plan.
if it's not, remember to follow Section 103. Instagram is a great place to do that. So that way you know about things that are happening at Section 103. Section 103 is the best place to find Georgia Tech, Georgia Southern, Kennesaw State, and LSU apparel. Go there. It's the best for polos. It's the best for shirts. It's the best for hats and everything in between. Remember, Felice Bobby Dodd Christmas sweater season is here. Give them a look for that for Georgia Tech as well as everything in Tech Gold. Free shipping on orders over $100 every day. And remember to use code FTRS. Tell them we sent you for 10% off. Jack, what do we got? What's the rest of the slate like?
Oh boy. Well, let's get through basketball, then we'll have a good time with volleyball here. Our basketball teams went 0-4 in these holiday tournaments between the men and the women. The men are now 5-3, 125th in Ken Palm, 115th in Torvik. After losing 75 to 61 to DePaul and to Drake 84 to 74, we dropped 30 spots in Ken Palm this week, 20 in Torvik. We were,
It,
and neither these games were both. I mean, this was. It's felt like the the UMez game or to start the season where it's like,
ugh.
why are these games close? And why aren't we pulling away? Except this time, in both cases, we were the ones that got pulled away from. And it's just
it
it's just, the
it brings
DePaul.
me
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it brings me no joy, Jack. As
No, it
as
doesn't.
somebody who grew up going to DePaul to DePaul men's basketball games as at the Rosemont Horizon as this podcast's purported Missouri Valley Conference champion. These are not teams that you want to be losing to, much less both of them. And I think the advanced
Yeah.
metrics results belie it. I think I just need to put it out on Front Street in terms of like big, high arching takeaways. Um, 2 for 18 from three, a big hole to put yourself in. And
Yeah.
this game was relatively close
For
until
most of it. For
pretty
most of
late.
it. Yeah.
Just a couple scores,
Yeah.
type of separation with a couple minutes to play. But man, they like what is it? It's 24 of 63 for 38%, you know, field goal shooting. I think we expected down low forward centers to be relatively effective. But man, it just not doing ourselves any favors going 2 for 18 from three. 11 turnovers to 10 by DePaul. So not anything too crazy there. I don't believe that the fouls were too far off either. I think it was like 16 to 14 or 15 to 14. It really, at least to me, came down to just not getting it done from three. You flip two of those and you don't put it into garbage time, and or not garbage time, but the
Yep.
foul palooza that ends just about every reasonably close college
Yes.
basketball game. Like
Yeah.
that's two possessions different that you might flip early in the game and have a reasonable shot. That being said, I don't think that DePaul is quite as bad as they were a few years ago, but these are winnable games against reasonably okay enough teams. Is that enough couching?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like DePaul right now is 115th. They're 10 spots ahead of us after this is all said and done this week, and they're at the same record as us. And like we're in the league of Murray State and FAU, Bradley, Boston College is just ahead of it. Like we're right.
Whoa, I do not like how you just said Bradley, my man. That's my
Brad,
team.
well, they're
Come on.
six. They're six teams better than Georgia Tech right now, per our friend Mr. Pomeroy. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Oh,
That's what
I just heard the disdain dripping from that, and I think
Bradley.
8-year-old me cried out somewhere.
Bradley. I mean, nothing else. I
No, but
mean,
I know what you mean. I know
yeah.
what you mean.
Like it shouldn't
Ugh,
be them. It shouldn't be them ahead of us. Also, East Tennessee State, like a Southern Conference team.
yeah.
Like that's the league we're
Yeah.
in right now. That's just not. There's going to be a bad team in a big conference every so often. Usually it's Boston College. It just sucks in their world, but now it's us because they're ahead of us. The women
And
played. Oh, God.
I was gonna say, and the Drake game, free throw shooting, 7 for 18 from the
Oh,
free throw line. That was a 10-point margin game. Shooting from three was better, 9 for 22. But yeah, I don't know. These are games you don't really want to drop, but I'm sure you could, seize on specific specific pieces throughout the score sheet. 5 more fouls doled out than that, but it's just not a perfect team, and they haven't been playing perfect games. But you shouldn't need
yeah.
perfect games to be teams of 100 plus in Ken Palmer Torvik, right?
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. We play Mississippi State on Wednesday in the 80 in the ACC SEC Challenge. They're 81st in Ken Palm right now. Here's the thing.
Mhm.
If losing that wouldn't be a shocker. This is a 9:15 tip off in McCamish. Do not worry though. This is actually not the worst because this is finals week. When this pops off, this is reading day. This is reading day night. So this is the game students can get to. They do not have classes to go to the next day. So this is one of those actually kind of nice. This is when you want a 9:15 tip off if you're going to have one on campus and get the students there. This is the one day you can do that is this day. So
And it's also evidence that these TV windows are definitely getting longer. 9:15 is just 15 glorious minutes later than the vaunted 9 p.m. tip.
and we have two more 9 p.m. tips coming up this season in McCamish. But I note this because that's our last P5 game, P4 game before conference play. We've got Monmouth, Marist, Lafayette, and FAMU before we play Duke on New Year's Eve. Uh, these are all home games. If we drop one of these non power conference games, I don't have no insight on if that means anything for Mr. Stoudemeier's job security, but right now, I know this is as hot seedy as his job has probably ever been since he got here. So that's just my hunch. I have no background information, but if we drop one, I have to imagine there has to be things being thought about at that point.
Beat Mississippi State, and I'm like, okay,
That buys you
okay,
one
maybe we're
back.
making some progress.
That buys you one back.
But you cannot drop Monmouth, Marist, Lafayette, or Florida A&M. You
But no,
just
we can.
cannot.
Yeah.
This team needs to. It is imperative that they are at least 9-4
Yeah.
going into ACC play, and 10-3 would really be ideal.
Yes. Yeah. That's what we need. All these games are at McCamish after from this point on. Marist is a 7:30 tip a week from tomorrow, Tuesday, and then yeah.
Can we do a schedule read real quick to the first game of the ACC season?
Well, I was
Have
gonna
you
get there. I was gonna get there.
internalized how our ACC season starts? Because I'm not loving it, Jack.
Well, I was getting there. I
Really
was getting.
not.
I only got to the Monmouth game. I only got to the Marist game, and then we
Yeah.
play Lafayette on the 20th, going into Christmas week, and then Florida A&M on the 28th. So we'll have we'll have two weekend games in a row after Christmas break. But then yes, we start with Duke on New Year's Eve, in Cameron Indoor. Then we host Boston College, which is our closest team per all the metrics in terms of the conference right now in the cellar. And then we host Syracuse, and then we go to Miami, and that's your first four. We'll see.
Yeah. And the first one is at Duke at Cameron Indoor Stadium on New Year's
Yeah,
Eve. That
not awesome.
is
That's rough.
that is spooky.
That yes, yeah, not fun, not fun. So that's where we're at there. All right, let's get to the women here because I want to get to volleyball quickly. The women played at on the Cayman Islands and they lost to St. John's 67 to 65 in the first game. St. John's and Tech are very close in stature right now in terms of the rankings and things like that. The fact this is a one bucket game actually is like what you would expect this game to be. So it
Yeah.
sucks that it wasn't us. It's just a who had the bucket, who got the last bucket kind of game sort of situation. Not anything like what the guys were going through in terms of that kind of loss. It sucks. St. John's is good in women's basketball, but that getting that would have been really nice, and just could not pull over on that one.
So I tuned into the Florida game
Okay.
with the complete wrong expectation because the ESPN app was presenting the scores as flipped because I was like doing stuff, living
Hmm.
life, and then I came back. I was like, oh my gosh, we're winning! I gotta go check this out. It's like, psych, we're actually losing.
Oh no,
So that was a bit of a bummer.
that sucks.
Don't know how or why that one happened. I guess neutral site games can be a little bit weird, but
Yeah.
it's like, ah, sweet. I didn't expect this, and it's like, oops,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
We've used
But
Bart Torvik's game score as kind of a way to kind of just give us a sense of like, all right, how, well, what are the underlyings here? How well are we playing on a full-fledged thing? We were over 11 from three against Florida, so that'll bite you in the butt. And then just defensively, not too great there. The game scores a 70 and 69 against St. John's in Florida, so that's our two worst in a row. Georgia kind of not counting because that game was just dead on arrival. But these were winnable games and just did make it happen there. So they've got Texas A&M in the ACC SEC Challenge. We play in College Station. That is a 7:15 tip off against the Aggies. So in theory, if you want to do the Tech doubleheader on your television set on Wednesday, you can, because in theory the women's game should end before the men's game starts. So they will have that. That's the only game they have next week. All right, volleyball. This is very exciting here. A team that we thought was maybe not going to make the tournament. We do. Then their last four games, they had Stanford, they had Pitt, they had Louisville, and they had Notre Dame. They were expected to go 1-3 in that stretch. They went 1-3 in that stretch, which meant they were going to be an extremely bubbly team at 16-13 and an 11-9 ACC record. Like that is the worst we have done in a long time. Not by our own fault. We've had injuries. It's a new recruiting cycle for us. Like just that's a situation we were in. But surprise, we're in the tournament again. Sixth straight year, 15th ever NCAA tournament, and we play UCLA on Thursday as a last four team in. North Carolina was also a last four team in, so was Utah. I'm honestly pretty surprised they snuck in. If they don't beat Purdue at the beginning of the year, this team ain't making it because that would have been no ranked
Yeah,
wins on the entire season, and you kind of need a ranked
no
win.
ranked wins and 15 and 14 looks way different than beat Purdue in
Yes.
their building and 16 and 13.
Yes,
I
and
agree with you there.
lose to basically top seven teams when you do lose. Like Miami is really good, North Carolina is really good. Pitt and Louisville are leading or have entire quadrants to themselves in the bracket. No, sorry, Louisville is in Nebraska's. Uh, like they we got they. That's what you're gonna do. Like if we're this is my analogy I gave to a friend. If we were an SEC football team, we'd be in the top 10 because of quality losses.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what our schedule was. That's what it was, and so you couldn't blame us for playing our schedule. And we did. We were generally competitive. This week we played Louisville, Stanford. We got one set off of them. When we played Pitt, we almost got one set off of them, and then lost a set 25-7. Uh, so they still are very much in the. You never kind of know what you're going to see in a given set. If things are working really well. If they're not working, the best teams are going to make us look terrible. Still. But that's just where they're at. But it's great. We play at 4:30 on Thursday. We keep our tournament streak alive, which is really good. Uh, which is I think the important part. We lost our consecutive weeks ranked streak, but we have made every tournament since the 2020-2021 COVID affected season. This is the second straight year we haven't had a number next to our rank in the tournament. We were an unseeded team, so to say. UCLA is listed as number 8 in this bracket. We are in the Lexington quadrant with Kentucky Wildcats, who are number 1 seed in this tournament. They won the SEC. They won the SEC. Yeah, they won the SEC over Texas. And so if we happen to beat UCLA on Thursday, we will probably play Kentucky on Friday, assuming they don't lose their first round match. This is similar to last year. It'd be a complete shocker if we get out of the first two rounds. We did not last year. We surprisingly beat Tennessee and then lost to Wisconsin. UCLA should beat us. Now, there is some backstory here with this UCLA match, Jake, because they were our opening match of last season in what was we should have had that kind of match as we were figuring out this team.
Yep.
It's a chance for a little redemption here. I do like that narrative here.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely how I remember feeling about that game. I
Mhm.
think mm, I don't know. They're a tough out. They're obviously well, I shouldn't say obviously. They are a seeded program. They're the eight on our side of the bracket. Georgia Tech is the third seed in the region, but not technically receiving a seed. Non-rev sports are weird. I don't know,
Yep.
gestures wildly. Kentucky is the number one on our side, so it's tough sledding. I'll see if I can get us a correspondent on the ground, but TBD with that one. So
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
yeah,
We'll see how that goes. I should have a recap up on Thursday when that's all said and done. But beyond that, that is the extent of the main news coming out of campus right now. As we will record next week after we find out what the bowl game is. So that might be a Monday. That might be a later Sunday night. We'll see. Jake, what is the tennis news before we get out of here?
yes, the men have a schedule. Hooray! They've got a nice graphic to go with it too. How's that for news?
I like it.
It's a lot of what you'd expect. They open the season with UGA. I believe that is MLK weekend, but not MLK Day. They do host, I believe, yes, host doubleheader style Liberty of Wofford on MLK Day itself. Couple other non-cons, including a couple other double headers. If you are off of work on February 6th or February 13th and really want to watch a lot of tennis, both of those are double header days. Stacking some wins in that part of the schedule would be really great. They get Texas Tech at home on Sunday, February 22nd. That's
Ooh.
probably the next most notable matchup after the opener. That is a 11 a.m. Tip or first serve on that Sunday match for Texas Tech. So interesting there. They'll head on the road after that to open ACC play with four straight road contests. They get Miami and Florida State at home. I'm optimistic about that. Miami and Florida State are generally good but gettable, is how they've been in the past. I honestly have not looked at their rosters this year, but open for more of the same. They get Duke and North Carolina on the road, and then Stanford and Cal make the trip to Georgia Tech. Interestingly, the Cal match will also feature a home match against the Citadel on the same day. So interesting ACC slate, but I think one that pencils pretty solidly for Tech. They really only leave Ken Byers for a North Carolina swing, I guess two North Carolina swings, and then the Louisville Notre Dame road pairing. So it's basically a month and change at home, two road weekends, and then a home weekend, a road weekend, and then they're at home the rest of the way until ACC championship. So really interesting to see just how much, not I don't want to say schedule favor, but certainly they're getting a lot of people into their own building, if you
Yep.
will, for dual slates. So
That's fun.
I, hopefully that means that they can flip some coin flippy type stuff because that's the difference between this team and a tournament bid right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, there's if you're ever out around campus, these are always fun to go to. Just free. So it's free sports on campus. You can go inside the Ken Byer Center if they're playing inside. That Georgia match is always a hot ticket kind of match, regardless of where it is. I say hot
that's a
ticket.
sneaky top event on campus,
It's
Jack,
really
I'd
fun.
say.
It's really fun. That's the only tennis event you got to get there early for. Because literally they will run out of bench space, especially when because they
I
play
bet.
at the beginning of the year, so it's always cold, so they play inside, and there's only so much space inside,
Yeah.
inside Ken Byers to make that work on the indoor facility. So, beyond that, Fanning Center's got the signage up on the new building there, so they're getting ever closer to that. And then for those that were on campus for the pit game, you probably saw the construction stuff that's going on, but there's some pipes and stuff there and that they're solving next to the first center because there's always pipe work over there they got to do.
Pipes
That
and stuff.
they never
Both of
it
those things.
It
Billy
never
Beguile
stops.
in the jackets, you know.
It never stops there. That's nothing much else on the construction front. And I don't think we talked about Danny Hall making the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame last week. And then beyond that, I think we've hit it all. Hopefully we'll have Akshay here next week. And we'll have a bowl game to talk about. We'll have like two. This is maybe twice as long as what next week's episode will be, considering we'll have a volleyball game and like three basketball games maybe to talk about, and no
We might have
football.
two volleyball games.
We might have
I'm
two. If
optimistic.
you see, I mean, we got enough talent. We got talent. It's you never
It's
know what could
house
pull.
money, Jack.
It absolutely is. It absolutely
You
is.
never know what you can do when you just start playing, you know.
That's right. That's
I
right.
don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of the rest, yeah, this is probably our longest episode until baseball starts.
Man, that we're gonna have to do a whole baseball preview because holy crap, this
Oh
is
yeah.
baseball. I mean, I know we're always ready to be disappointed there, come May and June, but oh boy, let me tell you, this team has some hype around it that even the teams that have been really good of late did not have, and that's before you even get to Drew Burris and how the team is getting talked about. So, we'll see what.
National hype. That's what we'll call it,
National hype,
right?
national hype, and James Ramsey's got himself a hell of a team. Talk about the parallel that would happen if they made it to Omaha with his first season and Danny's first season. That'd be something. So, hey, let's hope that happens. All right, I think we're done here. Get us out of here, Jack.
Yeah, as always, check us out from therumbleseat.com. You can email us from therumbleseat@gmail.com. You can find us on various social medias. I'm over on Blue Sky. Over there. Jack's over there. You get the gist. Remember to check out Game on Paper, gameonpaper.com. It's the best place to get Georgia Tech and other schools, all other schools, I should say, advanced stats for college football specifically. Remember to check out Section 103 at section103.com and at Section 103 on Instagram. You can find us on Instagram too, at From the Rumble Seat, same handle on Facebook and YouTube. And you can find this podcast wherever fine podcasts are distributed. In the meantime, till we speak again, good night, good luck, and go Jackets.